Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Watch my video and subscribes my channel. Brooke blasts Ridge and runs off with Nick. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Thursday, July 31st, state that Lee Finnegan will reject Sheila Sharp's plea while Brooke Logan blasts Ridge Forrester and storms off with Nick Marone. Now that Brooke has been swept up in all the memories of Italy and the media limelight with Ridge, she's doubting why she even came. Being near Ridge like this is just too much, so Brooke is obviously struggling right now. Of course, Nick will aim to distract Brooke and show her a new road forward. When Nick encourages Brooke to depart for some Italy fun, Ridge will stand in the way and get into a furious showdown with his rival. BNB teasers suggest Brooke will decide she's had enough of Ridge being so possessive when he refuses to reunite with her. After Brooke puts Ridge on full blast, she'll rush off with Nick and let him dazzle her with some romantic moments together. Nick will prepare to take Brooke out on the boat and give a marriage proposal to remember, so he'll undoubtedly have huge plans. Meanwhile, Lee will hide a devastating fact back in Los Angeles. Sheila is yearning for some closure regarding Luna Nozoa. Therefore, she's been pushing for answers about Luna's ashes or grave. Despite Sheila's plea, Lee won't give her the response she's searching for. Instead, Lee will just explain that there's nothing she can do for Sheila now and perhaps push her to just move on with her life. When Lee tells Sheila to let things go, she's only going to add to Sheila's doubts. Sheila can't stop thinking about Luna and will continue to focus on her after Lee's unusual reply to her inquiry. The weirder Lee acts, the more certain Sheila will get that she's got something to conceal. BNB fans know that Lee is indeed keeping Luna's survival under wraps as she's caring for her comatose niece and granddaughter behind closed doors. Sheila has a sixth sense about Lee, and Brooke chooses after a confrontation. In Italy, Brooke tells Ridge she can't stay, she has to leave. She doesn't know why she came to Capri with him. There are too many memories. He coaxes her to stay. Brooke laments that everywhere she turns, someone wants to take pictures of them. She had to answer question after question about him and Taylor and their ludicrous engagement. Well, screw you. She's going to run off with Nick and forget she ever met him. Brooke Ridge B&B. Ridge tells Brooke it's going to be okay. She responds it's not, this was a mistake. Ridge said everyone is excited to see her. Brooke claims Ridge isn't. Nick, meantime, wants to sweep her off her feet. It feels amazing to be wanted like she's the only lady in the world. He looks at her with desire and passion, the way Ridge used to look at her. More heinous twist in Liam's story still to come. At the gathering, Eric tells Nick this is a private event. He says he's only looking for Brooke. Eric doubts what it is exactly that he desires. He's on to him and his designs on Brooke. Nick confronts him for having Ridge and Taylor staying in his house when he knows he's come there to get Brooke and Ridge back together again. Eric smirks. He won't deny that he wants Brooke with Ridge. His son is happy with her than with anybody else. Nick feels that's bad news for his fiancée. He complains about Eric repeatedly placing Brooke in situations with his son and problematic family. Eric advises Nick to keep away from Brooke. Once alone, Nick spots Brooke and Ridge bickering by the water. Nick Eric B&B. More, meet B&B's new Stephanie. Brooke tells Ridge she's in one of the beautiful places in the world with the man she loves, but she shouldn't be feeling this way. She is because they're not together. Nick appears and complains about Ridge making Brooke miserable. Ridge insists this doesn't involve him. Nick argues that it does. He's stepping in. Ridge tells him he can go. Nick asks what Brooke wants. Here is her chance to leap off the merry-go-round with his man once and for all. Nick Brooke Ridge B&B. Holding out his hand, he adds, "Come with me." Brooke takes Nick's hand and walks away with him. Ridge watches them go. Ridge B&B. Will Electra take on a new role? At Forrester, in the design office, Electra and will wish they might have gone to Italy. They look at the images everyone's posting and Will tells his girlfriend she should be there promoting the company. She'd be the hottest model ever. She reminds him she designs jewelry. They kiss and go over how they'll never have to worry about Luna ever again. Will crew Electra B&B. Sitting, Will and Electra go over how crazy and dangerous Luna was. He shouldn't have been startled. She was capable of drawing a pistol on him. They recap that he could have ended up shot too. Will says he's okay, and he never would have let Luna damage her. Electra repeats that Luna is gone forever. They agree she brought this all upon herself. It's hard to think she was related to someone like Finn. Will says the essential thing is that everyone's safe and she's gone. They're entitled to feel good about that. Will Sheila let it go? At Il Giardino, Sheila tells Lee she wants to say goodbye to her granddaughter. She loved her. She misses her. Where can I go to do that? Lee tries to give her the brush off and just wants her takeout. Sheila wants to know, where is she? She reminds Lee she's not the enemy and try to help her. Lee snaps, there's nothing you can do for her now. They quarrel as Sheila reveals she advised Luna to leave Finn alone and move on with her future. She's grieving the woman she may have been. Lee snaps that she's not doing this with her and leaves her appetite, storming out. Deacon enters and asks Sheila if she found out anything about Luna. She murmurs, no. Sheila B&B. Deacon asks Sheila if she set Lee off. Sheila explains she wouldn't answer her inquiries. She can't let that go. Deacon wonders what happened. Sheila says she wouldn't answer me. They go over the shooting. Sheila objects that Luna just lost control. Sheila says she and Lee are both grieving. All she asked was to visit her grandchild to pay her final respects to her. Lee just got all huffy with her. Deacon Sheila B&B. Deacon wonders if she resents it as she does with Sheila and Finn. Sheila says no. She can't put her finger on it, but something is extremely off with Lee. Deacon notes out it's a peculiar position for everyone because Luna was a violent criminal. Maybe a part of her is relieved. Sheila's not all, and wonders why Lee is keeping her in the dark when she just wants to say goodbye to her. They had a connection and she cared about her. She feels like she knows what led Luna to do these things. Deacon warns that's not something you bond over. Sheila insists she had a good side too. She noticed it and it reminded her of her kid. Luna was brilliant, ambitious, and humorous. She flashbacks to hugging Luna and the two of them sharing laughs. Sheila laments that she's gone and nothing anyone can do can fix that. More. Amber and Deacon reconnect. Will Luna pull through? At Lee's apartment, Luna lies asleep, hooked up to tubes and monitors. Lee arrives and finds there's no change in her granddaughter. She coaxes, "Come on, Luna." She looks like the little child she remembers, the tiny girl with so much potential. What happened to her? How can you appear so serene after causing so much pain? She coos, "Open your eyes, Luna." Luna B&B. Lee pushes Luna to hold on and fight. She complains that she never truly had a shot in life being raised by her awful sister. Stability and chaos is all she's ever known until now. She's sorry she wasn't more involved in her life, but now she's there with her. "I won't let you die." On the sun-kissed shores of Capri, where nostalgia clashed with heartbreak and the shadows of history hovered over every cobblestone, Brooke Logan's emotional spiral reached its climax as she stood face-to-face with the man who had loved her, betrayed her, claimed her, and ultimately shattered her, Forrester, and as memories surged like a riptide through her soul. Brooke realized that being caught in his gravitational pull was a slow death of self-worth, her every breath echoing with old battles, tear-streaked goodbyes, and the never-ending carousel of longing and rejection that had defined their decades-long entanglement. So when Ridge once again refused to offer a definitive commitment, instead spinning his usual web of charm and hesitation, Brooke exploded with righteous fury, eyes flashing with decades of pent-up frustration, yelling that she was done being a pawn in his eternal waltz with Taylor Hayes, that the ring on Taylor's finger meant less than the sand under her. Stilettos, and with an electrified crowd watching from their yachts and balconies. Hungry for drama from America's most scandalous couture queen, Brooke threw. Ridge's carefully rehearsed speech back at him, declaring he wasn't the man she needed anymore. Not when Nick Marone was standing beside her. Not when Nick, with sea-wind tousled hair, a glint of steel in his jaw, and years of aching, smoldering love in his eyes, was offering her an escape, a future, a world not built on promises broken and memories weaponized, but on the thrill of rediscovery. So with the Forrester patriarch Eric trying to block Nick's path at the opulent gala by the sea, spewing accusations and half-truths about Nick's intentions, warning him to stay away from the Logan Queen, Nick held firm, declaring with quiet defiance that unlike Ridge, he wasn't afraid to put Brooke first. And as tension mounted under the glittering lights, as Taylor stood paralyzed in the distance, clutching a ring that now felt like ash, as Steffi stared in disbelief, and Hope began to reevaluate her own stance on love and legacy, Brooke slipped out of her designer heels, took Nick's hand in front of everyone, and walked away barefoot and radiant into the moonlight, leaving Ridge with nothing but the echo of his own indecision. But the drama was far from over, because back in Los Angeles, as the city braced for fallout from Italy's romantic earthquake, Lee Finnegan stood defiant and secretive as Sheila Carter, grieving, suspicious, and increasingly unhinged, demanded closure about her supposed late granddaughter, Luna Nozawa, whose ashes, grave, or any trace of memorial remained oddly absent, and when Lee coldly dismissed Sheila's pain and brushed off every desperate plea, Sheila's sixth sense went into overdrive, and she began retracing steps, replaying every cryptic moment, every flicker of guilt in Lee's eyes, certain now that Luna's death was not what it seemed, especially since Lee's emotional volatility and obsessive avoidance only deepened the mystery, and viewers were treated to haunting cutaways of Luna, unconscious but alive, hidden away in a sterile room where Lee whispered promises into the silence, promising her comatose niece a future free from scandal, a reset that would silence Poppy's failures and vindicate her own twisted maternal ambition, while Sheila's internal war raged between her infamous darkness and a rare, almost tender longing to say goodbye to the one person she believed saw the good in her, even if only for a moment, and as Deacon tried to talk her down, warning her not to chase ghosts and false hope, Sheila's instincts overpowered his logic, and she began her own off-the-books investigation into what really happened to Luna, a mission that would soon intersect with Finn's growing suspicion about his mother's recent leave of absence. And as the web of lies thickened, Will and Electra toasted their own disturbing sense of relief, smugly convinced Luna's absence erased their culpability in whatever truth still lay buried, not realizing that their cold triumph would be short-lived, because, as Sheila dug deeper, and Brooke embraced a whirlwind romance aboard Nick's yacht, where champagne flowed and a velvet box pulsed in Nick's pocket waiting to make Brooke his once and for all. Storms brewed across the Atlantic and in the hearts of everyone tied to these intersecting secrets, and when Ridge finally caught up to Brooke at the edge of the marina, soaked in regret and desperation, her answer was as simple as it was final. "You lost me, Ridge. Maybe forever," she said, boarding Nick's boat just as the sun broke over the horizon. And in that moment, with gulls screaming overhead and Italy holding its breath, it became clear that this wasn't just a romantic diversion. It was the rebirth of a Logan legend, the unraveling of a Forrester fantasy, and the start of a new chapter filled with revenge, redemption, and the resurrection of Luna Nozawa, whose eyes, somewhere in the shadows of Los Angeles, finally fluttered opened on the glittering coasts of Capri. Beneath the golden sun that shimmered like scandal itself, Brooke Logan stood at the precipice of her romantic ruin and possible rebirth, every breath thick with the scent of salt water, roses, and regret, her heels digging into ancient stones as Ridge Forrester once again spun his web of nostalgic half-promises and dangerously familiar charm. But this time, the woman once known as the Eternal slut from the valley wasn't falling for it, not when the ghosts of Italy past crept into every lens and every whisper from the media that trailed them like perfume, and not when the man who once offered her true escape, Nick Marone, now stood at her side, sun-kissed and sure, offering not just an escape from the carousel of heartbreak, but a vision of something pure, something thrilling, something entirely hers. It had all started innocently enough with a reunion photo op, an elegant gala, and a symbolic return to the country that made her both muse and martyr to the Forrester dynasty. But now, amid swirling champagne, haunting memories, and mounting pressure, Brooke's heart cracked open with a fury decades in the making as she shouted down Ridge in full view of the Forrester elite, calling out his cowardice, his emotional manipulation, and his inability to sever ties with Taylor Hayes, whose engagement ring meant nothing more than a pawnshop token in a tired game of ego and nostalgia. And while Eric Forrester pulled strings behind the scenes to ensure Brooke's proximity to Ridge, hoping to orchestrate one last fairy tale before the curtain fell, Nick pushed back, charging through designer-clad gatekeepers, defending his love with a roar and a smirk, saying he wouldn't let Brooke fall victim to the same tired script. And in that electric moment by the sea, where moonlight danced across 100 onlookers, Brooke took Nick's outstretched hand, kicked off her heels, and walked barefoot into a future written not by Ridge or Eric or even the Forrester name, but by her own desires, igniting a media storm that rippled from Capri to Los Angeles, where across the ocean, a different storm brewed in the cold, sterile shadows of Lee Finnegan's apartment where Luna Nozoa lay comatose and hidden, hooked to machines that beeped a steady rhythm of guilt, secrecy, and twisted hope. Her once promising life suspended in a glass coffin of Lee's, making, as the doctor muttered frantic affirmations, that this was her chance to fix everything her sister, Poppy, destroyed, to rewrite the tragic maternal legacy she'd inherited. While outside those walls, Sheila Carter grew more certain by the hour that Luna's death was a facade, her instincts sharper than ever as she begged Lee for answers, demanded access to a grave that didn't exist, and remembered the flickers of humanity she saw in the girl everyone else labeled violent, unstable, irredeemable. Sheila's desperation to say goodbye, fueled by real grief, yes, but also a gnawing belief that Lee had locked away not just Luna, but a chance for Sheila herself to matter to someone, grew louder as Deacon tried to soothe her with logic, warning her not to reopen wounds that may never heal, but logic couldn't compete with a mother's instinct or a woman like Sheila who'd clawed her way back from infamy more times than anyone could count. And as she retraced every conversation, every strange look, every cryptic word Lee uttered, Sheila began connecting dots that no one else dared examine, while across town, Finn started asking dangerous questions about his mother's recent leave, her emotional volatility, and why she refused to speak Luna's name, a growing suspicion that would soon collide with Sheila's truth-seeking crusade in explosive fashion, all while in the glossy Forrester offices, Electra and Will reveled in their false sense of victory, smugly declaring Luna gone forever, their lies and fear neatly buried under press releases and new design sketches. But fate and soaps never let secrets stay dead, and as Ridge watched Nick sail off into the horizon with Brooke wrapped in his arms, his own future adrift and Taylor's ring already slipping into insignificance, he knew something irreversible had occurred, that this wasn't just another breakup or Brooke's signature dramatic exit. It was a line in the sand, the moment Brooke chose herself, chose freedom, chose Nick, and from this point forward, the Forrester men would feel her absence like a wound, while across continents, Luna's eyelids fluttered, her fingers twitched, and the heartbeat of the next chapter began, not just for her, not just for Sheila, but for every soul in this tangled, glamorous, and morally fractured universe, where love is currency, secrets are weapons, and no one, no matter how beloved or reviled, stays down forever.